From Interior Alaska's most trusted news source, this is the Fairbanks Evening News.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Our top story tonight, a body was found inside a residence today in the West Fairbanks area. Emergency responders were called to the home on Wogstro Drive. Alaska State Troopers were called to the scene and took over the investigation. Trooper spokesperson Megan Peters said they cannot release any information until next of kin are notified and an autopsy is performed.
We responded to the residence and we did confirm the death. However, the cause and circumstances regarding the death are under investigation. As a part of our investigation, what we normally do is we send unattended deaths, the deceased person, to the state medical examiner's office in Anchorage, and that's where an autopsy is conducted. And we will be looking to the autopsy to tell us cause and manner of death.
Language in Ballot Measure 2 went into effect today, legalizing the recreational use of marijuana in Alaska. Governor Bill Walker yesterday introduced legislation to create a marijuana control board, which if passed will allow the board to regulate marijuana much like alcohol. Meanwhile, the State Alcohol Control Board held an emergency meeting via teleconference early this morning, ruling that pot cannot be smoked in places generally accessible to public statewide. While the state now has 9 months to craft retail and other regulatory measures, consuming cannabis privately is now perfectly legal. For more on that, we turn to Jamie Schwartzwald.
Frank Berardi today celebrated the passage of Ballot Measure 2 in a way he calls responsible, privately, and within his home. The voter initiative passed by a 4% margin last November and allows adults 21 and over to not only consume cannabis, but to possess, transport, and display up to an ounce of the weed. Berardi, board chair of the Coalition for Responsible Cannabis legislation that backed BM2, is asking that Alaska residents celebrate today's effective date to the letter of the law.
This is especially important because right now we're in a transition period where the rules for the industry are being shaped as we are celebrating the end of 80 years of prohibition. So really, people setting an example of who cannabis consumers are is going to guide the process over the next 9 months.
Berardi was in attendance at last night's Fairbanks City Council meeting. He spoke in favor of a proposed ordinance to define public places and ban the ingestion of cannabis in such areas. The body voted unanimously to approve the ordinance that includes a $100 civic fine payable to the city for those caught ingesting pot in public within Fairbanks city limits. Councilman David Pruse, who sponsored the ordinance, called it a starting point.
What we're going to have to do later, talking with people, is probably codify a disturbing the peace if we pass this initiative this ordinance, as is, because you're going to have people who might be blowing smoke into a neighbor's yard.
The listening session for U.S. Army officials to hear from Fairbanksans about proposed troop reductions at Fort Wainwright is getting underway this hour at the Carlson Center and is scheduled to run until 9 p.m. The first session was held in Anchorage last night to hear from people about reductions proposed for Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson. The worst-case scenario being discussed for Fairbanks is the reduction of about 5,800 troops at the local post. That would be the size of the Stryker Brigade combat team stationed here. 30 military installations across the country are being considered for cuts, including the 2 in Alaska. The main arguments to keep the Army in Alaska have been strategic location and training grounds.
Asked about Alaska, about our strategic value, every single one of the top leadership in the Pentagon say we are the most preeminent strategic location and training location in the country.
When we come back, we'll have more on the Army budget cuts and what was said at today's chamber luncheon. Also, it's Tuesday night, and that means it's time for this week's edition of our Health Report. Stay with us. Welcome back. The possible force reductions at Fort Wainwright were the main theme at today's Chamber of Commerce luncheon. Mike Schultz has more.
It was an overflow crowd today at the Carlson Center as the more than 200 people attending were briefed on the importance of Fort Wainwright's possible decrease in personnel. Who better to talk about the strategic importance than a former military general himself, Pat Gamble, the president of the University of Alaska.
The way I see it, the location is right. The training for joint and combined opportunities is right. The community support is right. The quality of life is right. So the fit is right. So the decision to stay has got to be right.
What about the economic impact? One local banker answered that question.
If the Army actually moves forward with this reduction, it could mean a total of about 20,000 people to the Fairbanks Lone Star Borough. Our estimates are that that could mean about $1.6 billion in lost revenue and over $800 million in lost personal income annually to our borough.
Alaska has more retired veterans than any other state per capita, and one veteran voiced his concerns.
We are a military town. We do support our military, and a lot of us who are ex-military call this place home, I think in larger numbers than anywhere else in Alaska for that matter, even though Alaska, there's more military and veterans that live here than anywhere else in the country.
Fairbanks needs and appreciates their military personnel, and they show it daily by many means.
And it's really important that the Army knows that we have an amazing quality of life for our soldiers and their family members, that when they are deploying to harm's way or leaving for training, that their family members are left behind in a community that cares about them, embraces them, and they're a part of the fabric of Fairbanks.
Mike Schultz reporting.
Alaska's minimum wage rose to $8.75 an hour today, giving a pay increase to thousands of workers. Voters in November overwhelmingly approved raising the minimum wage from $7.75 to $8.75. A second increase to $9.75 an hour will take effect January 1st. After that, the wage is to be adjusted annually for inflation. About 2% or 5,600 Alaska jobs currently pay $8.75 or less. Most of us understand that to reduce our risk for heart attacks and stroke, we need to exercise. But as it turns out, we may not have to hit the gym as hard as we thought every day to reap heart-healthy benefits. Maji Bowen has more in this health report.
These women are clearly lowering their risk for heart disease. Now, new research finds that even women who do more mundane physical activity, like cleaning the house, gardening, and walking just a few times a week, are 20% less likely than their sedentary peers to develop heart disease. The study included data on more than 1 million women, followed for an average of 9 years. Dr. David Fritt is a cardiologist. He was not involved with the study, but says it adds to the growing bulk of research that shows nearly any kind of physical activity is good physical activity, and certainly better than none.
You need to do exercise, but how aggressive and how often you do it may not be as much as people continuously think.
The heart, like all muscles, needs exercise to become stronger and work efficiently. Physical activity also works to lower blood pressure, improve cholesterol levels, and help with weight loss. And in this study, at least, a little went a long way. The results suggest working out more than 3 or 4 days a week provides little additional benefit to heart health.
As long as you are exerting yourself, you'll get some benefit out of it.
This is Monty Bowen reporting.
The Health Report is brought to you by the Ear, Nose, and Throat Clinic, located in the Medical Dental Arts Building, and by Interior Women's Health, located on 1626 30th Avenue.
Joe Cook is next with sports, and some UAF seniors are featured in today's Nana Corner. That story and more after the break.
Hello, Interior Alaska. Joe Cook here in the Sports Seat for you this Tuesday evening with your local sports. The UAF athletic calendar is almost over. This week, the men's and women's basketball teams will have their last regular season games of the year. Now we hear from some of the seniors.
This week is the final week of the 2014-2015 season for Alaska basketball. 5 seniors will be honored, 3 on the men's team and 2 on the women's team. Overcoming mid-season injuries has been tough for the women. Jordan Wilson is toughing out her toe injury but has played in the last 2 games. They'll need all hands on deck in their final 2 games. Alaska is tied for 7th at 5-11, but are just 1 game out of the last playoff spot. UAF faces MSUB on Thursday and SPU on Saturday for senior night. MSUB, Central, and St. Martin's are in a 3-way tie for that last playoff spot. Senior Kelly Logue is out with an injury, but fellow senior Benisa Bulaya speaks for Logue and the team, who want to be the first in program history to clinch a GNAC tournament berth.
It's been a long journey, and it's been a lot of fun, and I couldn't be more proud to be part of a program like this.
They're the first recruiting class that I've had that's been here 4 years, and really have seen and been a part of the turnaround for us, going from winless seasons to being able to compete for playoffs.
For the men, it hasn't been the season they've envisioned at 6-18 overall and 3-13 in the GNAC, but they have some fond memories of UAF.
My first year up here, kind of when I was a bench player, beating number 2 in the nation, Western Washington, to end their 33-game win streak. That was pretty awesome. Last year, beating UAA for the first time in 17 contests. That was a big W.
One of the best memories? For me, it was probably the win against Western, just because I was there my freshman year.
All this snow, really all this snow, honestly, and playing against so many good guys in the GNAC, playing with my teammates, all the people I met. It's going to be a lot to remember, actually.
Alaska will play St. Martin's on Thursday and close out the season with Western Oregon on Saturday. Both Thursday and Saturday doubleheaders start at 5:15 at the Patty Center.
Nanook Corner, brought to you by Sports Medicine Fairbanks.
Iron Dog racers are soldiering through some less than ideal conditions. There's no snow, despite reports of bare ground and no snow for almost 50 miles near Rome. The snow machiners, they push on. Stan Brown and John Dean lead the race so far as they checked out a Czech Tulik this morning. The Strick brothers, Robert and Stefan, are second. Scott Feo and Eric Quam are near Unalakleet in third place. Alan Hill and Mark McKenna are fourth. Aaron Bartell and Scott Davis round out the top 5. The first Iron Doggers are expected to arrive to the halfway point in Nome on Wednesday. Now another race, but this requires a special kind of shoe, snowshoe racing. Saturday was the 16th Baleen Ridge Snowshoe Race. It was the last race of the Running Club North's Snowshoe Race Series. About 20 runners competed in 3, 6, and 9K races off of Goldfinch Road. Keegan Rankin would be the winner in the 9K race, finishing in under an hour, 54 minutes and 35 seconds. Nick Shamrell was the runner-up. It was close to the women's 9K. 2 Ericas took the top 2 spots. Erica Bird finished first in 1 hour, 17 minutes, 49 seconds, while Erica Blake was right there in 1:18:22. Eric Troyer won the 6K in 55 minutes, 21 seconds. Ashley Epperheimer and Matthew Pruitt tied in the 3K at 37:03. Over the weekend, the Effie Cochran Warriors hosted the Minto Lakers in basketball. This turned out to be a highly competitive contest between the two squads. Minto led 18-15 after the first quarter. As Chris Baker, he scored 11 of his 13 points for Minto in the first. Benjamin Charlie, he led the Lakers with 16 points. Effie put together a good 20-point second quarter to regain the lead. Josh Fisher, he scored 16 for Effie Cochran. But DeJour Reed, he closed this one out for Effie, scoring a game-high 25 points, including 9 in the fourth quarter. And the Warriors win 66-62 over Minto. The Warriors play Tri-Valley and Sioux Valley before regionals. And in other high school contests from over the weekend, Lathrop split on the road in Wasilla on Saturday. The boys team, they came out on top 56-44. Cole Burner and Jaden Whiteside, they combined for 32 points in the win. The girls team, they lost to Wasilla 36-70. Cassidy Edwards had 17 points and 13 boards for the Warriors. Carly Fitzgerald, she led Lathrop with 12 points. The Malamutes host the Monroe Rams tonight in a non-conference matchup. Lastly, tonight we're going to leave you with some pretty entertaining video of Pee Wee hockey. That's right, Sunday was the Alaska State Hockey Pee Wee Minor Championships. On Sunday, the North Stars and Alaska All-Stars out of Anchorage were vying for the title. The North Stars beat the Arctic Lions 3-1 in the semifinals. The All-Stars scored first, and one of the guys just gets clotheslined by his teammate after scoring. It was 1-1 after one. Both teams, they were trading goals again in the second, but the All-Stars will score 2 more to close out the second period, leading 4-2. The All-Stars will go on to win the championship 5-2 over the North Stars. Pretty good sellies there. And that's a wrap for sports this Tuesday. Mike Schultz is next with your full weather forecast, but where is he? You'll find out, and we'll catch you next time.
Welcome back to our weather segment, and we are going to throw it to Mike Schultz. He is reporting live from the ice park. Pretty interesting. Mike.
Hey, Stephanie, I'm standing here with a very happy man, Dick Brickley, a name that's legendary here in the community for all he's done for Ice Alaska. And you are a happy man because everything's going along really good, isn't it?
It's great, and you've been giving us good weather. When I can see my breath at this time, that's great for us.
When my face isn't frozen, it's even better. So real quickly, let's talk to folks about and tell them what this year's Ice Ice Alaska is compared to last year's?
Well, it's great. We just kicked off the start of the 2015 BP World Ice Art Championships. The single block, there's 36 teams in there that started this morning at 9 a.m. and they're going hot and heavy. They'll finish up Thursday evening at 9 p.m. and it's going to be a wonderful competition.
Now, yesterday, something happened that you would not expect. Ice Alaska was postponed by ice.
It was, but actually what happened is the airport was closed and artists were stacked up to get in here to get started. So we had to make sure that they had a chance to get in there and start on schedule with everybody else.
It's going to be heaven this year for the kids too, isn't it?
Oh, the kids park is phenomenal. There's a huge number of pieces out there. The big slides are ready to go. So it's really a great time to come out to the ice park and really have a great time here in our community.
Well, Dick, thank you for all you do and all your volunteers. And this is one of the most incredible things worldwide. It's worldwide known now, isn't it?
It's actually the biggest ice sculpting event, Mike, in the world. And we have tremendous help from the community and the volunteers. They come from all over to really help. The artists pay their own way, the volunteers pay their own way to get in here to help, and it's magic with what they do.
Well, thanks again for all you do, too. Let's take a look at the weather. He was talking about our conditions right now, and it isn't that bad. In fact, looking at our photograph for tonight, this is an interesting one. This is what's called when the water rises because of the ice backing up, it's overflow, and they created an ice bench on the Nenana River. A really cool, interesting sculpture there. And that was sent in by Douglas Hanson. Again, thanks to all that sent in photos. If you have a photo, send it to photos at ktvf11.com. Now, as far as our numbers go, our almanac looks like this. And again, we're looking at, for the most part, the weather has not been bad here. Go check out the almanac now. We're going to click over to it soon. I will tell you right now, today was a nice day. There you go. Today's high was 34. Right now it's 23 after the low last night, 23. Record high 50 in 1943, 52 below in 1932. Your sunrise and sunset, well, right around 7-minute gain from yesterday. On our satellite and radar, you can see we're looking at more moisture coming in from the west. That might give us a chance of a little more snow overnight. Then after that, high pressure is expected to set in. Across the rest of the state, Ketchikan reporting some rain. Juneau also some rain, 40 degrees there. On the Anchorage area, 39, and for the most part, clear skies. Up and down the west coast looking pretty good. And to the lower 48 we go now, in a wild weather scene going on there, especially over the eastern half of the country. They're looking at freezing rain again, and maybe even some snow in Atlanta, Georgia. Birmingham, Alabama looking at some snow. And across the Texas area, you can see, again, the pink and the blue indicating where rain is. Blue, pink is the frozen precipitation moving across the Great Lakes, too. What lies ahead? Well, the jet stream will show you once again, as you can see, more cold air being fed in across the Canadian border all the way down to the southern states. That's pretty interesting weather. Well, back to Alaska for tomorrow. For the northern section, scattered flurries for Barrow, snow showers for Nome, scattered snow showers for Fort Yukon. Here in the interior, once again, looking at some snow showers in the morning, then becoming partly cloudy by afternoon. Temperatures a little bit cooler than they were today, only 22 degrees in Fairbanks. Over the southeastern section, scattered showers for Juneau, decreasing clouds after morning showers in Ketchikan. And heading out to the southwest part of the state, for the most part, a few sprinkles for Cold Bay, chance of rain and snow for Kodiak, and snow showers for Bethel. And if you're going on down the Anchorage area, well, weather doesn't look too bad there. Isolated snow showers for Anchorage, some mixed snow showers in the morning for Valdez, and partly cloudy for Homer. Okay, time once again for our kids' weather. And this week, we're going to be talking with those kids from Weller Elementary School. Tonight, here's a young man with a really cool story and some great video, too.
Here I am in Oklahoma City at my grandpa and grandma's back porch, and well, it was really funny. Me and my family were just sitting on the porch, and it started hailing really, really bad. But first they were small, and then they started getting bigger and bigger, and they end up stopping about the size of a baseball, a little bit bigger.
Those are amazing hailstones. Wow. Again, thanks to Mount McKinley Bank. Tomorrow, a young lady will be here with a very unique picture. Here's your forecast for tonight. For the remainder of the night, looking at increasing clouds, some snow showers later, 11 degrees. The forecast for tomorrow, looking 22 degrees for the high. Morning snow becoming partly cloudy and cooler. And the 5-day outlook, Temperatures will be warming back up again by the weekend, up to 30 degrees. No snow in the forecast. Overnight lows in the single digits to single digits below zero. Back to you, Stephanie.
All right, thanks, Mike. And we have run out of time. So from all of us here at the News Center, have a good night.